says 7 o'clock on my watch. So welcome everybody, thank you for coming to this meeting. As you probably know by now, if there is an emergency, the exit routes are either through the doors just here or at the back of the building. We are being filmed in the usual way. Is anyone else recording the meeting? No, I don't think so. Are there any apologies for absence?
Yes, there are. Thank you, Chairman. It's Laura Bungard, apologies from Laura Bungard, Councillor Helen Page, Councillor Banbridge from Thanet District Council, and Councillor Dawson from Kent County Council.
Thank you. Do any members wish to declare an interest in relation to items on the agenda?
No.
I see no such indications. Minutes. First of all, we have to receive and approve the minutes of the full council meeting which we held on 7th of January. I had a look through them myself. I think they're good, but I don't know if anyone has any comments or amendments to suggest. Okay, would someone like to propose that next we have the minutes of the Planning, Highways and Environment Committee of the 12th of November and the minutes of the Human Resources Committee held on 16th of December. Both of these have been approved and signed in committee, so we've just received them. Councillor Wallen, I'll give you the floor.
There's a tiny error on it in the versions of two different Scots. Councillor M. Scott is down as being there, but also has given his apologies. And Councillor H. Scott is listed as being there, but is listed as talking.
Thank you.
I think as far as Councillor Matthew Scott is concerned, he came later on.
Which one?
But I'm not sure about that.
Planning Highways. But Councillor Hannah Scott isn't listed as being present, and yet she was. Only minor things, but they're not quite right.
Thank you. All members of this meeting.
Okay. Would those amendments, would someone like to propose or receive both sets of minutes? Councillor Walling? Seconded by someone. Councillor O'Connor again. All those in favour? Thanks very much. So, do we have any reports, item 4, from county councillors?
No reports.
It's disappointing, I have to say.
Have we received the human resources minutes?
I'm sorry, would you like to?
Have we received the human resources minutes?
Yes, I suggested we receive both of them.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. So planning and highways.
If that's all right.
Yes, it's fine. Thank you.
Yes, Councillor Matthew Scott. This is the report as...
sorry if I've completely skipped the first item on the agenda, but I received apologies to pass over from Samantha Banbridge and the Dawson. Sorry, we already spoke about that. But text or why there's been no report.
But nothing
In writing.
on the district councillor.
From my point, nothing at the moment. I'll be looking to liaison with Councillor Samantha Banbridge to sort of get an idea, because I've been away for a couple of weeks, as to what's happened.
Okay.
So I'll get that report to yourself over in writing.
Good. Laura,
Yes. I have a report from Laura Bungard. She said, "Good evening everybody, here's my report for the month of January. Scams are always a regular topic and this month has proved to be very busy. Unfortunately, there are people out there who prepare prepared to lie to residents, gain access to the property and try and scam their money. The golden rule is do not have a conversation with people who call randomly at your door and never under any circumstances invite them in. If you're unsure about whether you need any work done on the inside or outside of the property, contact Checkatrade or similar organisations. Do not agree to work being done at the door with anyone. A couple of scams this month were £10 to clear your gutter or grass, which turned out to be £10 a metre. No quotes given in writing and no invoice for works carried out. The flyers did not contain landline numbers, just mobile phone numbers and no company registration details. If it feels dodgy, it usually is. Another scam that's come to light this month was a man and son from London offering to do jobs at the door. They charged the lady but did not give her the tube of mastic that they promised her for her windows. They procured £20 from her to put a foot in the door until she gave them something. Please don't be afraid to say no thank you and close the door. If you are vulnerable on your own, talk through the door. Again, no thank you, you should always add, I will let my son know when he gets back from work today. That usually does the trick. Unusual one this month, TDC and bin lorries left more glass in the road than was collected. Bin lorry obviously had problems and I notified TDC as soon as I saw problems in Edmonton, Bowes and Fitzmary Avenues. Piles of glass were left in the road every 3 to 6 houses. They agreed to prioritise clearance and notified transport of the problem with the lorry. Huge amount of potholes this month, mainly due to the weather, which obviously encourages the tarmac to exit the previously filled holes. Drains too are a problem. Met up with the inspector this month. We walked various roads and together we discussed and identified flooding and blockages within the drains. He agreed that there are problems and he took all the details back for action. There are a few projects with Warden in other areas of the pipeline for Westgate and Westbrook, but nothing that I can discuss at present. Watch this space. As always, if you need me with any issues or problems or any information required at all, please don't hesitate to contact me on my mobile or my email address, or alternatively leave a message at the library where they will find me. Thank you.
Can we pass the councillor's report? Sorry, Councillor Donaldson.
Yeah.
He usually say these in alphabetical order.
Right. Football ground is going ahead. Our lawyers on the job and working with TDC. I'm also organising a football tournament to kind of focus myself on the 18th and 19th of July. I coincide with Westgate Day. So when I'm doing my lottery bid for Westgate Day, the idea is to include it as kind of, if you like, 2 one-off events. So Westgate Day plus a tournament, so the lottery think they get 2 for 1, basically, 2 for the price of 1. Summer Kitchen is gala. The school, which is St Gregory's, is very, very enthusiastic with it. Sharon Goodyear of Iron Kitchen, I'm working with her and also Co-op. I went to the Fanning Community Land Trust meeting, very interesting as well. And they're actually not incorporated yet. They've been at it a year, and they've had the same problems that I'm having with my community interest company, in that we don't quite know it, sort of feeling their way around. But what they've actually come up with is an organisation which is called a community benefit society, which is a completely new thing I've never heard of. But I also got a couple of contacts there, so there's a professional funder that they're going to employ. And it was a very useful, very interesting meeting. And what they're trying to do is very similar. It's forward thinking, it's very innovative, and they've also had similar problems with GDC as we've had in terms of we're trying to acquire land for building housing from GDC, and they ended up in a situation where they kind of weren't talking to each other, which we consciously avoided, so we've maintained that relationship. I also did a surgery on Saturday. 5 people turned up, and the surgery wasn't here, and I think it's well worth doing, so it's not wasted our time, and I think residents appreciate it. So I'll do it again.
Thank you very much. Yes, I don't know if Councillor Scott might have a comment on the surgeries. I find it's very up and down. Sometimes you get lots of people, sometimes not so many. Other councillor reports?
Okay.
Right.
Do you want to go around?
It just occurred to me, I don't know if everybody wants to contribute. People could say a lot of the reports if you want to take our time. Councillor O'Connor definitely did.
Well, no,
Okay.
Fine. I've got nothing actually to report. I went to the Community Land Trust meeting, and yes, the other day's surgery, so Councillor Donaldson has said all I can say.
Thank you very much.
Nice and quick and simple.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good kind of report. Councillor, I think.
Just want to say that the recycling thing from the library and also from Charlton School is going. When you said strength and strength, that's the way that the stuff we're getting to bring in, I think, which is we had to have a call from the library because it was getting over, and we were doing it on a weekly basis. They had so much going, so we had to go down and collect more of it. And while we were collecting it, the immediate 3 people who came in all had with recycling, which is had them in. But the other thing was, I've been to Chartfield School for the other recycling, and they've taken it really on board. They've now got laminated things in the classrooms about teaching children about recycling and so on, and they've just applied for some of the recycling bins of their own. But they said that once that's up and running, whether they could provide, whether someone would like to go along and talk to them about what happens to the recycling and that sort of thing. So it's always really positive.
Very good. Yes.
I will just say something briefly. So as you may have known, unfortunately I'm not always as present to the full council meetings. I've graced you today, and apologies on that. It's just with the district matters. Just really come back with something that Councillor Donaldson mentioned about the Saturday surgeries, includes that they are going forward as they are being fed back some information from the town clerk, and I'll certainly like to have a discussion with our councillors to see what we can do to best forward and utilise our Saturday surgeries. But I'm glad that they are moving forwards, and it obviously gives residents natural direct link to us as councillors, and therefore takes pressure off any sort of office admin staff, because we fundamentally in the first instance are the people they should be coming to. So yeah, and other than that, just been keeping busy with the general district and local issues from residents. So nothing I will personally report on, but thanks very much.
Thank you. Can I ask about a follow-up to the surgeries? I know we have tried to formalise more of a system of follow-up. Is that working smoothly? Yep.
Yes, it is. So we've got an actual log sheet now that everybody completes at the surgery. They have contact details of the residents. We follow up on the actions, and then I get the office to contact the residents, so we keep everybody informed, and obviously the councillors that were at the surgery as well.
Great. Thank you.
Just a couple of social engagements, liaising with the Heritage Centre, that was an interesting talk. Also the Residents Association has a committee meeting, and that went very well, and during that, the offshoot from that was we got a lot of support from Councillor Ashby over a planning issue in Westgate, which was very helpful.
Good. Councillor Connor.
Yes, just to say that I've attended my normal audit and bank reconciliation at the office, I've also, we've done some forecasting this month, so we can see where we're coming in for the end of the year. And we've also done the precept return, so we've had a couple of meetings throughout the month for all that. I did attend the library with Joan to do the Saturday surgery. Unfortunately, nobody came, and I do think people are happier here than at the surgery. And I'm just wondering, from my point of view, whether it's better for it just to be here, as it's getting well known as Westgate surgery, you know. And also, if you need information or we need to give out leaflets, which we found we've got more here. So it was just a thought to put in the pot that maybe now that this is here, we can arrange for Jill to get the key so we don't have to tie her up every time and, you know, and put it back, you know. So I was just thinking maybe you could put that to the vote a bit later about whether we continue at the library as well. So as far as that's concerned. And basically we've done a HR meeting before, but we've just been working on Westgate Day by report on that when we do Westgate Day.
Thank you,
I was
Councillor.
just peeking over Councillor O'Connor's notebook and the number of days that she's worked, like, spent time doing these things is amazing. You know, days off, you know. So thank you, Councillor O'Connor. Okay, so my report back is, so I was delegated the responsibility of commenting on the modifications of the local plan. So this is a 10-page document, so I'll summarise it for you. So what happened at the local plan hearing was that the inspector read through the local plan and then said to TDC, I'm not too sure on this part or clarify that part. So they had to go away and clarify various things, which they said verbally at the meeting, and now it was on paper. I could then clearly argue against it. So the main points are, first of all, development strategy for Thanet. So they basically were suggesting that the whole of Thanet is one urban area around the coast, separated by green wedges. So, and this is how they've allocated the housing in Thanet. So, first summary is that I've stated that the Town Council does not agree with the spatial strategy for the housing allocation. We believe that it's unsound. The modification states that the main towns of Thanet form an almost continuous urban area separated by green wedges, and therefore there's no need to use settlement hierarchy for this continuous urban area, which means they're suggesting there's no need to say, in this town there's 6,000 people, so we'll only give 600 houses. In this town there's 1,000 people, so we give, you know, less. They're saying no, that's not the way we did it. So I've stated that we would argue that all areas should be allocated on a proportional basis. Each town is unique and must be treated as such. We believe that the plan should set out a clear settlement hierarchy for each town in the same way that a settlement hierarchy has been applied to the villages.
Yes.
The housing allocation should be proportional to the towns which it is abutting, not just the villages. As a specific example, the allocation abutting the small town of Westgate and the village of Garlage is not proportional to their size and should be changed, and therefore before the local plan is agreed. In regards to form and character, they state that the new developments in the villages should be consistent with each village's form and character, and we agree. However, this rule should be applied to the individual character of the towns too.
Yes.
So then there's a lot of explanation. The Town Council believes that the area between Westgate and Garlage should be formally allocated as green wedge to preserve the individual characters of the two areas, which we've stated before. If 2,000 houses at Westgate agreed, this will completely merge the two district areas and be contrary to numerous planning aims. We therefore respectfully request that a green wedge is allocated between Margate, Garlage and Westgate. We are requesting a designated area in line with the requirements to avoid this urban sprawl. Furthermore, the allocations have been unfairly distributed towards North Thanet and should be distributed more equally over the whole of the island in a sustainable manner. The Town Council does not agree with the statement. Okay, so I think we're kind of just repeating ourselves a little bit with regards to size and scale. The Town Council disagrees with the local plan. The local plan must be correct from the start, and therefore TDC needs extra time. So basically in the main modification 004, they state that the local plan can be signed off because within 6 months we're going to completely review it. So they're basically saying to people, to TDC councillors, sign it off because in 6 months' time we'll completely review it and then it'll be perfect. So I've put the Town Council disagrees with this approach. The local plan must be correct from the start, and therefore if TDC needs an extra 6 months or longer to get it correct, then we respectfully ask that this time is granted. We know that there have been 2 significant changes in the world since the local plan was initiated and initially drafted in 2015. The first and most important being the government has declared a climate emergency. We are now aware that we are heading to a climate disaster and that if we don't do anything about it, our world could be a very hard place to live in for our children and grandchildren. So then I go on to explain about global temperature rise, the fact that the local plan is unsound because we're not looking after the agricultural land, and the fact that climate change will impact on food, and therefore we need to keep the agricultural land. Explaining that the overarching idea of the framework, the National Planning Policy Framework, is to be sensible in its use of agricultural land for economic purposes and houses, and to balance it with the need for self-sufficiency. So therefore we disagree that the plan should be signed off as it's unsound with regard to environmental sustainability credentials. The National Planning Policy Framework was not set up to be used to destroy large areas of Grade 1 and 2 farmland, and to try to twist it in this way is not sound application of the planning law. So the new modifications show that about 8,000 houses will be built on Grade 1 and Grade 2 agricultural land in the Isle of Thanet. And it actually states in the sustainability appraisal that the 2,000 houses at Westgate will result in a direct loss of 3.17% of the total best and most versatile agricultural land in Thanet, and this will be significant adverse effect. So that's their own sustainability appraisal. Then it talks about raising sea levels, about the fact that most likely the Isle of Thanet will become an island again. I include a map which is taken from research to show where the flooding areas will be and the fact that we'll become an island again. And the fact that that hasn't been taken into account, Thanet's water supply, and the fact that it's very poor quality and contaminated by industry and agricultural practices has not been taken into account. And then Brexit has not been taken into account. So leaving the EU, which has now been agreed, completely changes the population projection for the Isle of Thanet. The population projections calculated by the Office of National Statistics were based on the assumption that the population will increase, continuing on a trajectory as projected from a specific 5 years in the last decade. We now know that these assumptions are not correct. We need to address these issues before we sign up a document which is based on unsound assumptions and population projections. That's the basis of it.
Well done, there's a lot of work there.
Yes, thank you.
You would have seen incidentally that the announcement of the decision on the development consent order for Manston has been pushed further into the future. So we still have this issue hanging over our heads as well. Thank you very much, Councillor Scott. That's really helpful, and I agree with every word.
Brilliant, thank you.
Councillor O'Connor.
Well, actually, I went to the community hub that's in Birchington today, that's just offered by the doctor's surgery, and there's just a newspaper report in there, a local one that came through, piece about saying that because they're thinking of closing that and moving it over to Westbrook House. And one of the reasons for stating is because we've got 2,000 houses being built at Westgate, and therefore it's, you know, that's kind of the place to put it, because Apparently the doctors haven't been pushing the use of it there, so over the last couple of years it's been declining in the number of people using the community thing there. Where it used to be extremely busy, and they have to be referred from the doctors, and the doctors at the moment, because they're waiting for it to be moved, maybe want to increase their surgery at Birchington there because of the new houses that are coming to Birchington. There could be a little bit of politics going on that one. So that was just a point that just ties in with this today.
I might, yes, I will mention at this point, Councillor Hudson, the Chair of Birchington Parish Council, just drew to my attention that next Wednesday evening, and I'm afraid I didn't catch the venue, but I think it might be the library or the hall behind the library, there is a community engagement meeting for the area covering Birchington, Westgate, Garlinge and maybe Councillor Scott, you know.
Yeah, just to follow up on that, that will be next Wednesday. It's going to be the centre, so it's basically by Birching Library.
Yeah.
And then it's basically an engagement meeting where you get the opportunity to speak to local authorities like KC wardens, potentially police officers and stuff like that. I believe you can use that as an opportunity to engage. It's open for all members and residents in that area.
Yeah, I mean,
It is an evening one. I did put a post up on it. I think it is around about 7 o'clock. But, you know, you can double check. But that's do move on. I can always say at the end.
yes, Councillor.
Sorry, could I just check, is that centre at Birchington?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, because that clashes with the neighbourhood engagement meeting of Garlinge Primary, but I don't know how many councillors go to that.
Good. Okay. Councillor Scott, thank you for all that. Are there any points that we, Councillor Hannah Scott, are there any points we need to follow up in relation to all this?
No, so what's going to happen is that the inspector will get those comments, and then the inspector will look through, I don't know, he'll decide on whether TDC has answered his questions in a reasonable manner, and therefore whether the local plan is considered sound or not in all aspects. So we just need to wait and see what his comments are.
Okay. Do we have any idea when his reflections may result in a decision?
I don't know actually. I'm not totally sure. It's
I
quite
see.
a lot of work.
I say his because it was some work that came and shared the meetings.
Yeah, no, there's two of them. There's the chap and the female that were there.
Town clerk's report, please.
Thank you. Okay. So I just wanted to start the report this evening with the back-breaking work that our ops team have been undertaking this month. Lots of lead clearing. We want to thank our community warden for her assistance by delivering the flyers to Adrian Square. She alerted residents and requested that they move their vehicles where possible. So that meant the team could commence their work a day early, as there were lots of vehicles moved on the Wednesday. Unfortunately, when they returned on the Thursday, which was the scheduled day, the vehicles were all back, so I think there must have been misunderstanding when people got the flyer. They thought it was Wednesday when in actual fact it did say Thursday. But anyway, they did undertake 2/3 of the work, so that was really lots of photographs as well, so we can get that on social media. We're due to do the same on Ethelbert Square this week, and again that's scheduled for Thursday. So Laura's going to drop the flyers tomorrow, so that we don't get that issue again this week. We've received a letter of thanks from the Christmas Lights Committee and the request for help financially with their Christmas light switch on for this year. I've alerted them that they need to provide us with the small grant scheme application documentation as normal. The magazine has now hopefully been delivered to all the properties in Westbrook and Garlinge. I spent last week one of the days visiting local businesses with the latest copy and a letter that highlights some of the initiatives and events that we've got planned for the town this year, that the Town Council is organising and facilitating. As you're all probably aware, we've got our by-election next week for our Town Council vacancy. Postal votes have now been delivered to those who have requested them. And I've posted the notice of poll on our website, social media and on our notice boards. There's also an article in our magazine to raise awareness of the date, which is the 13th of February. And further details are available on the TDC website for anybody who wants proxy votes or anything like that nearer the time. The Events, Tourism and Improvement Steering Group met again this month, and we've now utilised the central calendar, which will be shared with all the organisations and community groups who are part of the steering group. This can be shared with others so that we can all be aware of what's happening locally and try and avoid clashes of dates where possible. The events preparation for the year are well underway. The VE Day 75 picnic in the park is taking place at the community centre and on the Green Livington Road. All the documentation has been submitted to TDC, and I'm pleased to confirm that we've got a local singer performing World War II songs, jazz and swing music, enactors, military vehicles, not too many of those, a cake stall, craft stalls, a tombola. I've got some large games for the green for children, a giant chess Connect 4, a ukulele band is confirmed today as well, and we've got at least one VIP veteran, our eldest veteran in Westgate, Harold. Hopefully I'll get another couple of people as well from the Armed Forces Breakfast Club. So thank you to the community centre because they've been a huge support of this one. It's going to be a true community event from 12 noon until 5 p.m. And it's proposed as well to have a small ceremony on Friday the 8th of May at 2 p.m. at the War Memorial on Sea Road, which Mother Karen has agreed to lead the service for the VE Day 75 commemoration. So, and thankfully St Saviour's as well have agreed to ring the bells on the Friday at 7 p.m. because that's a national, ring the bells for peace. As you know, the pancake race is nearly upon us. We've got all the agreement from Thanet District Council for the arrangement, and Paul's Bar are making the pancakes to sell this year because obviously the deli is no longer. So all we need now is the weather to be kind to us. We've got an Easter egg hunt on the 11th of April in the town, and I've got some feedback from lots of businesses who are going to get involved. And I've got to thank all the councillors who have volunteered to be involved on that Saturday, the 11th of April, from 12 noon until 2 p.m. Saturday surgeries are still ongoing, and the location use and frequency of them, I think, is an item on the next full council agenda following feedback from members recently. Westgate Bloom is back again this year, and I'd like to request that we give some thought now to the next tree planting day. As ideally, we only have about 6 weeks left before the weather changes, and it's not really advisable to plant small trees in the summer months, as this reduces their chances of survival. I've approached KCC to ask if we can plant some trees on the town green, that got town green status, and I will update members once I have an update from KCC. Any further suggestions for planting are welcome from members. Training is one of the priorities for this year, and I'm proposing 3 dates to count for a Saturday Dynamic Councillor course. The dates I'm proposing are the 28th of March, the 4th of April, and the 25th of April. And I'm going to request, if possible, at a 9 a.m. start, so it doesn't eat into the afternoon. It's usually about 3.5 to 4 hours long. Also, the recreation ground update, obviously Councillor Donaldson's updated you on that already. The defibrillator on Sea Road, I've had confirmation from a local electrician. He's actually prepared to install the cabinet for us for free, so that's really good. I just need to now go and speak to the Swan just to make sure that we agree the location of the cabinet outside, and then that can be installed. I've booked the annual audit for April, you'll be pleased to know. And we've got our annual town meeting on the 20th of April, which is booked at the community centre, and that's a 7 p.m. start as normal. I'm obviously going to discuss the format of that meeting with Councillor Pennington over the coming couple of weeks. And I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Item 8, do we have any of Councillor Storch?
To ask questions with regards to the report. With regards to the training, is the training one of those 3 days that you're suggesting? Okay, so if I tell you tonight that after the meeting what days I can do or can't do, then I'll tell you.
Thank you.
And also, when you went round to businesses to tell them about different things that we were doing, what was the feedback that they gave you with regards to the activities that we're doing?
Yes, there's definitely interest in the business forum idea that Council Paynes have had, which is really positive. I think we've got a lot more business people here this year that are actually, interested and want to get engaged. The Easter egg hunt, a lot of them are pleased to get involved and have something that we've learned about how the children go and do the hunt. And also Westgate Day, everyone's quite excited to get involved with that. We've already got 2 or 3 businesses in the town that are going to have stalls on the day. So, it was a good exercise, and I actually went over to Cadbert Road and Newington Road as well, so we covered everybody locally.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you.
Good, thank you. I might just add that for the business forum, I think we'll have to try and find out what the most useful sort of framework for the meeting is. Swan are apparently used to holding business breakfasts, and I thought that might be a suitable idea while people's minds are still refreshed from their sleep rather than having by the day's hassle. But we'll have a first meeting and then talk about the most suitable moment. So item 8, I understand we have no requests to speak from the floor, so let's move to item 9, which is the finance reports. Okay, Councillor O'Connor.
So, as per normal, we have got the business reports that have gone through the finance, and we just need to go through you. So we've got the bank reconciliation, which is the various different accounts, as we said before, each month, what we've got in each one. So that just shows you that that's been done. We suggest the reconciliation, obviously. We make sure we go in and it's matched up to the statement, so there's no mistake. Then we have the list of payments and receipts. This is just the list by name of payments and receipts that have gone through for the month for these invoices that we've paid. And attached to that, you'll find what's termed as just the journals that went through, so in other words, where we've had to tweak up from the deposit account into the current account, because we try and keep as much money as we can in the deposit. That goes through, and any interest that we receive from the bank. So there are supporting documents for that. Then we have our full, what we term is our budget report, which is by cost centre, so you can see how we're performing against each cost centre through the year. So that's been sent out. And what we've done to support this, which we've been trying to make sure that we do quarterly, is do a forecast, so that we can have a look to see what we think we're going to come in at the end of the year, hopefully, as we go through. So the kind of forecast that we're in there. If things progress as we are, we hope that we're going to be about £2,000 underspent, as long as there's no big issues that come through. So the forecast is obviously only as good as we know at the time. So yes, we've already put in for the. I mean, we held the. You can see here under that comes through from our transfer from the reserves that we put the 5,000 in that we know that this election is going to cost. So that will be transferred over to cover for that. But hopefully, if everything goes to plan, all the bills come in on time and there's no hidden charges, that's what we're forecasting to do. We want to keep perfect in the next 3 months. So hopefully we're covered with that. So obviously, if we say each time, if there's anything that anybody wants to have further details on, please let us know. We can provide further details and breakdowns at any time that you want them, but just a bit of notice, because obviously we have to go into this and do a job. Okay? And obviously any supporting invoices that you want to see, we can do that as well. So that's it really.
Thank you very much indeed. That's quite encouraging, especially for the forecast for the year, which I think gives us a nice perspective on how activities are going and how in future we'll be able to balance all the various items, because we seem to be working forward on a prudent basis, and it seems to be working, I would say.
The office is working really hard. Jill's office and the girls are working really hard to keep everything within a tight budget, but not just that, to keep it up to date as well, so that we can get this information relatively quickly on a month-by-month basis. We're not forgetting it's the first year that they've used this system standalone as well. So, we're quite pleased with the way things are going, and I've got an appointment next week with young Chloe to do the bank reconciliation, and her thing is she wants to make sure everything's on every month. We have this in, I have our office, everything, So it's a real sense of achievement for the office as well, to make sure everything's right. So.
Yeah, thank you. Any comments, questions?
Just thank you very much.
Thank you. Can I propose that we receive these reports together? Or can somebody propose that we receive? I think Councillor Scott. Okay, next item. As mentioned on a previous occasion, you will know that the previous Vice Chair, Councillor Michelet's resignation was accepted by CDC. So we need to appoint a Vice Chair to fill the vacancy. I've had one information, and I give the floor to Councillor Thornton.
I would like to propose Councillor O'Connor, based on the fact that she does a huge amount of work for the council, very successfully and effectively. We all respect her, and Councillor O'Connor works very well as town clerk.
Thank you. The Honourable Manchester second.
Yeah, I'd like to second. I think we all remember the time when Councillor O'Connor first came to be co-opted, and it was a unanimous decision to take her on, and she's been an amazing councillor ever since, so yeah, I second that nomination.
Thank you very much. Are there other nominations? I see none. We should vote. Certainly vote. So the nomination of Councillor O'Connor as proposed by Councillor Cornford, seconded by Councillor Scott. All's in favour? Well, firstly, congratulations. I'm really pleased, and as indicated, I think it's on the basis of a proven track record of hard work and being fully in line with the council plans. I think that's great. Thank you very much. Item 11, planning conference. There is a planning conference being held at the Leven Community Centre, which I think I've been to before, happening on Friday the 13th of March. Which has been an auspicious day for planning. I confess I don't know if as an area rep I'm going anyway. I suspect the answer is yes.
So I think it's quite important that somebody represents the town council on the planning conference, purely because with the new planning committee, all this information is going to be crucial going forward for the planning committee. So I would like to urge that somebody would like to attend on behalf of the town council.
Yes,
if Councillor Pennington goes, then it doesn't mean that other members can't go as well. So I don't think or is it only one that can go at a time?
If, well,
Yeah, we certainly, more than one can go, but
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
I think last time I went with Councillor Moorish actually, and also a new councillor from St Nicholas, who owns the fencing company on the corner. He came along as well. That was a few years ago. So yeah, I just checked my diary, and I'd be happy to go. I think it'd be very informative. I know it was last time. It was excellent. So, and anybody who'd like to come with me, then that would be brilliant as well. I'll be a bit lonely.
good.
Sorry?
Well,
Did you say you were going, Martin?
well, I'm one of the two representatives from the area committee, which is, boring people, a committee which brings together the parish and town councils in the Fallow District Council area. If I go as a member of the area committee, then CALC pays my expenses, so it's not a liability on this council.
Perfect. So if you go and I'll go as the town council.
If they want area committee reps to go, then I can go. But we'll check that out. But I think you should go anyway.
Okay.
Is that agreed? Is everyone in favour? Yeah. Thank you very much. Westgate Day update. It's unavailable to me, and I set in motion this letter asking for shops in particular to be more involved in Westgate Day. We've already had some feedback. I'm going around some of the shops doing a bit of follow-up to try and push them to take a decision as soon as possible. It's of course not only the shops that need to be involved, both in Westgate Day and the Business Forum. There are plenty of other business interests in the town, and I'm trying to follow those up on an individual basis. So that's what I did. I think as far as the stage is concerned, we've got some bookings. I will work with Councillor Nightingale to try and make sure we've got a full set. Okay, Councillor Nightingale?
Yeah, my task is to research funding and sponsorship for the event. I prepared an online lottery bid which now includes sort of earmarked funds for the football tournament, and I want to present that to the National Lottery this month.
Okay.
See what happens. You know, but they are, I've spoken to them on the phone, some details, and they're in terms of the criteria, it fits all the criteria. They like to do one-off events. So the two one-off events is Westgate Day and football ground. And what they like is, the National Lottery sponsors this event. So it's really part of their kind of marketing strategy, if you like.
Yeah. Good. Councillor Lloyd?
Right, well, I've been told that the source prizes for the projects for local businesses no longer required.
Yeah. Did everybody see Councillor Major's message or not?
I've got...
Town clerk.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so obviously Councillor Payne sent her apologies this evening, but she wanted me to report on the situation with the project. So this is the email that she sent to the schools, which gives a meeting summary and sets out an explanation. Okay, so the meeting on the 15th of January 2020 was attended by Councillor Page, Adam Sollier, King Ethelbert and Nick Bonnell of St Saviour's. There was apologies from a care home and a school. This was the third attempt to bring schools, care homes and other community groups together to discuss and plan for the project. An agenda for this meeting was sent out by email. Due to the low level of participation and the fact that there had been no response or communication from 10 out of 14 invitees, it was not felt appropriate to have the planned meeting and the agenda was not used. There were discussions about the possible reasons for the lack of participation. It was felt that this was due to pressures of curriculum and Ofsted, together with shortages of staff and time constraints. It was agreed that, for this year, we would propose to not go ahead with the project. This is disappointing, but it was also agreed that other things could be arranged so that there could still be participation in events to mark the town anniversary on the 18th of July, nearer to the event. Councillor Page pointed out the importance of the town anniversary being recognised within schools, care homes, and that they should mark the occasion in some way, even though they're not doing the projects. It was suggested there could be a community week leading up to the anniversary, with activities such as litter picking, painting, planting, decorating, which could be bunting and flags. They could do this on their own premises or parts of the town ready for the event. This would require a plan and a list of items to be done. These suggestions were viewed as very positive and achievable. Also, to heighten the awareness of the town anniversary, it was felt that schools could help distribute flyers amongst the community with their families and friends, which is an additional marketing for the event. It was also felt that the local businesses should be involved in the same activities and assist in making the town anniversary special with offers, discounts, freebies for residents and customers. It was agreed that a meeting should be arranged for the 3rd or 4th week of May, and that schools, homes and community groups be invited to again discuss the plans for the suggestions made and what they plan to do to mark the town anniversary. Councillor Page advised that she would send out a summary of the meeting to all the other schools, homes and groups, and that she will share and discuss all of this with the town clerk. She will also advise the Heritage Committee in view of the fact that they have specified 2 of the project topics for this year. The meeting was closed and Councillor Page thanked Mr Solly and Mr Burnell for coming and making such a positive contribution.
Well, that's answer your question.
Yeah, so on that basis, I need another start. Need something else to do.
Oh. Right, okay. We'll consider that.
Yeah. So whatever else, I'll do it. Or if somebody else needs help on one of theirs, I'll turn up to somebody, whatever's needed.
Well, okay, Councillor.
No, I was going to respond to Helen's, Councillor Page's report there. How do we feel about that? And, you know, obviously, how's that going to get organised? You know, the other.
Well, I will give my own views in a minute. Councillor Cornford.
The meeting's in May, is that correct?
Apparently.
And what is the date, what is it again, the 18th?
Yes, that's the 18th.
Right, so that's about
18 months.
8 weeks.
Yeah.
Almost.
Not a lot of time, and they close
That's not
schools
a lot of
finish
time
at the end of May.
to completely change tack, but is that, should the meeting not be sooner? Should we not try, I mean, next month, March, rather than May? We've got school holidays, we've got school visits. Everybody has an agenda.
Any other comments specifically on this point? Yes, Councillor Scott.
Why is it in May? Is it because the schools are saying, let's do the Ofsted, let us get things out of the way and then we might be free in May? What was the reason for sort of having a meeting in May?
I'm sorry, I wasn't actually at that meeting myself, so I can't comment, and I think I'd have to check with Councillor Page on, you know, that's her report, and I don't want to, you know, comment on, look into, you know, read between the lines, I'd rather ask her direct, if that's okay, and I'll get back to you. Please.
Yes, Councillor Manchester.
Just briefly, could it just be suggested that we as councillors contact Councillor Page ourselves and obviously get that update and saves you a job. Cool.
Thank you.
Councillor Cornford.
I was just going to say, she did request we didn't do that.
Yes, I mean, my own view is
that if clear signs of lack of support, we really need to have a better understanding of the reasons. If it really is to do with the curriculum and so on, can we tackle it from a different angle and ask the schools themselves or the care homes what would they like to bring to it, rather than being told, you know, we want to do a project on A, B and C. Is to say, you give us ideas for projects X, Y and Z, so that it fits your priorities and we can count more on your participation. But I think if there's a formula which obviously isn't motivating people, there's no point in flogging a dead horse, frankly. If we're going to make that participation a regular thing rather than just something that would seem attractive in the first time we did Westgate Day, we have to find the right sort of approach in terms of involving them. I don't know who was first. Councillor Collins.
I was going to say, maybe the suggestion is that perhaps, now that I'm doing the vice chair with you, that you and myself and Councillor Page get a meeting and find out exactly what is the problem, and if there is a different way forward, and bring it to the next meeting, perhaps, if we can arrange.
I'm prepared to, with Councillor Page if necessary, to go back to them and say, we would very much like to involve you, and we realise all the pressures on your time and resources, and see what we can work through against the start.
Yeah, I remember one time when Councillor Matthew Scott was speaking to a number of the music teachers, they were motivated to do something for the Westgate Day, and I think it's that it's kind of putting it out there, what would you like to do at the Westgate Day and what is doable, and then they can kind of tell us what they can do, and then, you know, we can kind of maybe coordinate it, and I think that would work quite well.
I must say, I thought the ideas that came from the Heritage Centre were excellent, but you know, if they don't fly, they don't fly. Okay, I'm completely lost now. Where were we? Councillor Nightingale. Well, did you have anything to say on Westgate Day?
No. I think we've been on the same. I would just disagree with you that I'm waiting to hear a couple of other possibilities of bands, music for that issue. I spoke to somebody and they want some further details. So hopefully that might be too much to other
people. It also occurs to me incidentally that if we're booking acts for VE Day, we should try and offer everybody a chance, as it were, not be dependent on the same acts. Yes, Councillor Matthews.
Excellent. So, yes, my thing's coming into a bit more of a fruition now. So we've got the logo established now. I believe it's kindly being updated and refreshed by our artist, Becky. So that's out and about. Basically, I'm going to be looking to start speaking to media partners. I know of one councillor in the district who has an association with Academy FM, so maybe look to get them on board again. So basically on that side of things, it's just approaching the relevant media contacts. With the first sort of post that's gone out, I've now sort of established quite a lot of community groups across Thanet, because obviously whereas we'd like to actually scope out as much as we can. It isn't just exclusively for Westgate. We'd like to pull in as many people as we can across the district to show them that we are Westgate and Westgate proud, to use the hashtag. So with the first sort of post that's come about, we've basically tapped up quite a lot of community groups with the schools. So what I'm going to be looking to do is sort of periodically put those posts out on a weekly basis and hopefully sort of hammer in the idea of what Westgate Day is and get people talking about it. So different days, different times of the day to just get that out, and that's basically what marketing is, isn't it? Essentially. Brand awareness. I mean, just to follow up on a point we just discussed earlier, I mean, obviously with Westgate Day, it's a council initiative, so I think it shouldn't really sort of be held at ransom to one councillor. So, I mean, certainly if something doesn't work for one councillor, we should at least all approach and take that as a good thing, because, yeah, granted, what may not work for one school could work from another angle, from a different time. So, yeah, we should always, as Councillor Hannah Scott pointed out, speak to these people and say what works for you and see if we can work around that, because, yeah, it should all be taken with criticism and, well, also suggestions along with Saturday surgery. So we'll certainly be taking that on board and looking forward to going forward and looking what we can do to improve that. So mine's ongoing, really. Right until the end, and then on the day I'll take as many pictures and show them everyone being proud about it. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Councillor Norford?
Yes, could I just say first that with the band, St Michael's have contact with some really good bands at care homes. Every time I've been there, they've had very good music, either a singer or...
Oh, coming along to...
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, so if you're researching where...
They might have...
They would have good contact with bands, yes. Right, I'm on the stewards, and everyone around the table is going to steward, aren't they? If they're not, can you let me know now? Thank you. As some of my plans slightly scuppered by recent changes, because I've been counting on some students from the July. But never mind. No, I had arranged some stewards, but because of the change in the project and the school day, that has altered things a little bit for me. But I'm on it, don't worry. Thank you.
Anything else, Councillor Bryant?
And yes, for me, just to let you know that I've had to be sending out some bits and pieces because I'm doing the events along the front. I've spoken with the office. Yasmin is doing the stalls which she did for the two squares in here, so she's doing the kind of pitches that people come in and do it, which leaves me with the community stalls and all along the green of Westgate. We have definitely got the dog display team. They're coming to do things and they want to do it bigger and better, so they were doing it. We had an approach from belly dancers, which I've now passed on to you because they want to do a stage thing for it, so you'll probably be getting that from Julie very shortly. But it did bring it up. I'll come back to that in a minute. We're having a tree, Berks have confirmed they're doing a tree carving display. So, you know, where they cut all the stuff out and stuff like that, so we're doing that. We've got the face painting activity that's going down. There's the yoga person that's agreed. The Pilgrim's Hospice have want to come in. The Kent Police are still coming in. Nelson's Park are going to get back to me because St Nicholas have got their event on the same day. They've got a little event, so he's going to get back to me to let us know what they can do for them. We're looking at, I've got to just confirm with the football, which we had, you know, little play football down there. The Scouts want to do something again, that's just confirming it where they're going to do it for Brownies, so they're kind of going to have just showing them what they do all day long. So it looks as if we've definitely got the arena obviously for the trees, because that has to be done. We've got one for the dogs. You know, so these are different arenas that we're having. So we've got one for the dog display because they'll be going mostly during the day. The football will have, they go and do it during the day. So with Nelson's Park, we're not sure if it's going to be live ponies. We might actually have pony rides if they can do it, is what they suggested, but we don't know for certain. So we might even have ponies, but we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of great interest on that one.
Donkeys on the beach.
But the other thing we were thinking of is, and of course we've got the Scouts that will be having an area where they're doing bits and pieces, but we're thinking that if the belly dancer doesn't fit on the stage or something, I'm kind of, although they wanted to, it's a whole troop of them, isn't it, doing it, yeah, doing the whole thing. But it did bring to mind that maybe if we have got enough space for an arena where we can have like one-off acts that come and do like the belly dancing, you know, at different times of the day, maybe get some of the the local bands to come in, you know, so that they can do a little band parade or they do the batons and stuff like that. So it might be something like that, so that did bring into mind that there might be an arena that has different things coming through.
Just on the fire brigade.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Sorry?
You mentioned the fire
No,
brigade.
I said the Kent Police, but I do want to go and knock on the fire brigade doors if they can bring an engine down. I mean, it might have to be that they bug off with it. But one thing I did hear from somebody, this might be interesting from work, she lives in Tagerton, but she said, you should apply for a Great British High Street Award. Apparently it's a .gov thing. She said you do a lot more and they will put forward into it and you get money for it. So I just thought, well, that's another thing. So, things like West Day. So it's a Great British High Street Award. So we need to kind of go on that link and find out if we can put on High Street for it. But that's mine up to date.
So, firstly, with regards to the football, I've got a contact for the person that runs the football skills, if you need me to.
Yeah, I think
If you haven't already got it.
It's not, but no, anything is useful. If they're not coming back with the date straight away, you will be first
Yeah,
on
I
my
can
list
just
of
message them, from
Yeah.
contact with them.
Well, yeah, please just
And
message
then,
them and just say I'll be in touch.
Yeah, and he does sort of displays in London and stuff like that, so he'd be really cool here if we can get in there. So that would be good.
Yeah, so because we've got First Leisure, and you're saying
Your
Your Leisure was doing it, so is it through the
Yeah,
same
it's
thing?
kind of through the same thing. They pay that group to come along and do the football skills. Yeah, it's really fun. And then my task for the bus routes and stops. So we were just discussing about how perhaps I might be able to approach Ray Taylor and what's the route that they run? Fixology, to perhaps get some signs where we can then tie them around bus stops to say this is where the bus stops.
Yeah.
So I just need to ask Stagecoach and TDC if that's appropriate to do that. I think using the actual bus stops would be a good sort of starting point. And then maybe asking Stagecoach to have a couple of the temporary ones that they can put out if we need some extra ones sort of dotted around. But I just need to have the direct contact of the Stagecoach person that we've spoken to. So, yeah.
So could you say one thing? You could involve the cricket club.
Yeah, there's no trouble.
Because, I mean, we get the grant a while ago anyway, but I mean, they never advertise when their games are on. And I've just turned up a couple of times and...
If you give me the details, I'll do it. And it could be that they do something in, the same type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just pass me the details. Getting exciting, isn't it? Sorry.
Just thinking about how do you do demonstration in the middle of the bus and collapse.
Well, we can find out what they would do.
Well, thanks everybody, that sounds good, and as the day gets nearer, I'm sure we will need to keep an eye on things, and certainly if there's a need to devote attention to something between council meetings, by all means, let's do it. Thank you. So we're now up to draft recruitment policy. Perhaps I'll give the floor to Councillor Crawford to or should the clerk speak?
No, all I'd say about this was that it's been effectively consolidated by the town clerk. Thank you very much. So if you want to say anything.
Thank you. I just felt that we just needed to praise a lot of it was repetition, so actually now it's condensed to 7 pages, 2 pages, and we've just got all the key points on there, and I just think it's easier to read and adhere to.
Yes, certainly, reading through it, I got the impression this was, just a nice summary of best practices in recruitment. Yes, Councillor Crawford.
I propose that we adopt this policy.
Yep. Yep. Who's got first? All those in favour, yes?
Thank you.
Yes, thank you for working on that.
14 is the draft forward plan for the town council. Do people have further ideas, or I hope I don't need to go through it box by box, but I mean, maybe just have a quick open floor. Yes, Councillor.
Yeah, I was to say, I mean, kind of read it on the bus, and yeah, I mean, all these things in place, it certainly represents what the town council is aiming to achieve and what it's been doing so far, so I'm happy to get it. I mean, there might be the random pick, but that's beyond me.
Yes.
Thank you. I just wanted to reiterate that this is a living document, so, there's nothing to say that, in 2 months' time, we can add to it. That's the idea, that we, as we progress, we add to this. It's just a starting point.
Yes, Councillor Scott.
So, I was speaking to Jill about the environmental side of the town council, and I think I raised it last month as well, with regards to maybe having an environmental policy. So I was discussing this with members of the Neighbourhood Plan Group, and a resident called Jules Dawkins sent me in a piece which you've all got entitled "How can the town council help residents become more carbon neutral?" A resident's appraisal. So she's looked at things like local produce, carbon store, tree and shrub planting schemes, local travel, access to information on climate change, energy efficient housing, seaweed harvesting, and heritage, which I just thought was amazing. That's what she's written. And then I jotted down some things as well. I think you may have it as well. So it's entitled "Heading for a Carbon Neutral Town Council in Town." This document here is in the highlighted area. So this is just sort of like a starter with regards to some actions the town council can take to reduce greenhouse gas production, some actions you can take to sequester carbon, and then the balance between the two. If we can decrease our greenhouse gas production and also sequester carbon, we can start to become carbon neutral. And then there's some suggestions on how the town council could assist residents who want to reduce their greenhouse gas production. And then sort of a statement about where the top 5 actions that will reduce climate change will come from. So at the bottom it's talking about how the main thing actually is this gas that's in refrigeration units, which not many people know about. So that's the main thing, that if we deal with that more efficiently, that will actually reduce massive amounts of greenhouse gas production, but only geeks know about that. The second thing is to use offshore wind energy. The third thing is to reduce food waste. The fourth thing is to eat more of a plant-rich diet. And fifth thing is to stop deforestation and plant trees. So that's a worldwide list, and that's the top 5 things that we can do that will help reduce climate change. So what I was wondering is if over the next couple of weeks, councillors could read through this and also email me with any extra suggestions or any comments on it. So then at the next meeting, then I can start to form an actual policy, and then with Jill, talking to Jill about putting it into the plan where we're merging sort of our suggestions and we're not overlapping, and whether that's something that perhaps we should do. So that's quite a lot of information for this meeting.
Yes, Councillor O'Connor.
So here we've got the eco-friendly and environmentally friendly. We like this as an appendices as such to go with.
Kind of, yeah, and also, yeah, so the appendices, probably an appendices, so an environmental policy that we can all sign off and say this is our environmental policy and these are our aims and objectives kind of thing.
So yeah, because it's too big obviously to go into.
Yeah.
Appendix on the container.
Yes, just I want to speak up on one point. In relation to power generation, I mean, most people will say, well, how do I know if I can choose between
wind generated power or anything else, because it just comes into my house. I have heard of towns, but I'm not quite sure if there's a sort of critical mass of houses or dwelling units that can club together to generate their own electricity, mainly using solar. There is also this move towards air source or ground source generation, which doesn't suit all houses, but particularly for the ground source, you need a large area. But I mean, it might take us some time to look at some of these things, but I do think the idea of having a town environmental policy is a very good one, and I think there are very practical things to do. You know, I mean, supporting local businesses can be a key element in all this, rather than everyone driving to Westwood Cross. So I fully support the idea that we should pick this ball up and run with it. Any other comments?
It was just to come back on your comment with regards to maybe our procurement of electricity. We can sort of look online and find a company that sources electricity just from renewable energy, and therefore we're buying our electricity from renewable sources. And that's a simple way to kind of switch to renewable energy with regards to electricity. So that's a simple thing that we can do depending on what we're contracted into, but then Councillor O'Connor, I'm sure can help me. Clark can help me sort of look at that.
Yes, as I said, we were contracted for a year, so obviously that would be July 2020 when we could look at. Obviously, when we did move here, I did look at going eco, and it was an increased cost to us. Obviously, that's something that members can all discuss when we get to that.
It's starting to come down with regards to the cost now, so hopefully it will be a switch that doesn't actually cost us more either. That would be perfect, wouldn't it?
And can we include things like reduced plastics and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so that would be a slightly different one.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Because the plastics issue is more of an environmental pollution issue. Whereas this is a carbon issue, so I'm mainly talking about greenhouse gas reduction and sequestration, whereas we could have a separate one about
that's what I was
biodiversity and pollution as well.
So that's what I was about to say. But we can
Exactly, any suggestions, and I can put it into different boxes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It also touches on some of the ideas we were looking at about food that can't be sold in the shops but can be offered for consumption. Yes.
Thank you. I think this is Councillor Cornford shared that with all of us. This was Friends of the Earth, 20 actions that parish and town councils can take on the climate and nature emergency. So if anyone requires a printed copy of it, I just thought with the idea of 2 weeks to feed back to you, that might be a starting point for some people. Yeah, thank you.
Good. Well, any other, is that okay for the environmental side of the forward plan? Are there any other comments on the forward plan? Yes.
I was just going to say, I propose to accept the forward plan in 6 years, and then obviously looking at the appendices, as you said, it's a living document, whether to add those appendices.
Yeah. I might also add, we talk about future cooperation with Heritage Centre. There are an awful lot of ideas behind that. In particular, it's never been clear, was the council going to do this, or was it the Heritage Centre? And I suggested earlier today that I'll have a follow-up meeting with the Heritage Centre specifically to work out what we would like to happen and who's going to do what, because I remember in the past we talked about blue plaques and so on, and the ideas never got off the ground because they were expecting us to do something and we were expecting them to do something. So I would like to make some, build some clearer ideas into that. Sorry, I saw 2 hands up and talk through them. Well, Councillor Crawford.
Yes, no, I've already spoken to Jill, but we'd like to add on the emergency plan
Yes.
to the board plan.
Thank you.
Mine was just to second Councillor Bond's
Propose to adopt it, yeah.
absolutely, as it being a living document, we can add to it.
Yeah. Good, thank you.
Yeah, mine was just to back that up, second it,
Second it.
and with regards to sort of like the layout as well, the current actions, the planned actions, it's just really easy to see what we're trying to do, and the addition of the emergency and resilience plan to the town is really important. So, yeah, it's excellent.
I would have thought to bring some sort of monitoring system in, but we can do that afterwards. So it's been proposed and seconded, and I have a vote, please. All those in favour? Yeah, good, all in favour, thank you. Well, graduates for meeting, this is something else from the HR. I think it's just a summary of good practice really in meetings. Several points of which I may have transgressed on this evening, but I think the main point is really our ability to debrief and our ability to listen. And if we get those two things, and to be punctual, if we get those three right, we'll not be doing too badly. I don't know if anyone has any comments on specific points in the document. Councillor Crawford, do you want to make any comments?
No, again, this was put together by the town clerk on the basis that the HR committee discussed numerous issues, and the aim is to increase the awareness and effectiveness of members and the town council itself, obviously.
Good. Thank you. Somebody like to propose it? Oh, dirty information. Son's got. All those in favour?
Thank you.
Now, the TDC Housing and Homelessness Strategy consultation. You may have seen, you have received with your papers, I think, summary version, which gives the outline of it. It's a fairly large document, so I do think it's a document which deserves attention. Do you want to say something about it? Or?
Thank you, yes. So I didn't feel that it was necessary to print 10 copies. It's a very wordy document. It's about 49, 50 pages long. So there are copies on the table, but you were sent the link, so hopefully you've had an opportunity to go online and have a look. But what I did for you was the actual questions. So it's only 6 pages on the consultation, and what they're asking is where they've got the 4 priorities. Priority 1, improving access to and supply of housing. Priority 2, improving housing standards and safety across all tenures. Priority 3, supporting the health and well-being of the residents and community. And priority 4, preventing homelessness and tackling rough sleeping. So what the draft strategy is doing is basing it on these 4 key housing priorities, and the questionnaire is just asking our opinion on each of the priorities. So it's quite a straightforward questionnaire, it's not very lengthy at all. It's whether you agree, strongly agree, mutual disagree, or strongly disagree on each of the priorities.
I just one of my hobby horses that Gas has got.
And one of your hobby horses?
No,
I've quite strong views about homelessness. I think people too often oversimplify it and say that, there's a homelessness problem, therefore we build more homes. I mean, it's not that simple. Why are people homeless? It's because partly the social support systems have failed them, They are simply having a period of bad luck, and there is no safe social security, to use an old fashioned phrase, no system to help them through it and support them. And until you solve the underlying problems, it's no good saying, here's a house if the person can't pay for it, or whatever other reason is in a position where they can't manage a home. But sorry, I should have sounded off like that.
You should.
I open the
It's good.
floor.
So, firstly, I agree with Councillor Pennington with regards to that, and I think that we've got an excellent charity called Porchlight, which is now, it is started to have that safety net. People are given housing without having to engage in any kind of help at all. They're just given housing and they're left to kind of recover just for a little while before they start being things started being demanded of them, like you must turn up to this appointment, you must turn up to that appointment. They actually did a nice talk in St Saviour's the other day about Porchlight and all the work that they're doing, so that was very nice. Homelessness and housing is completely different. So if you turn to housing need and demand, it states that in 2017 there was a strategic housing market assessment as part of the local plan process. This identified the overall need for housing in the district to 2031 as 17.1 thousand dwellings. As we know, this won't stop homelessness, and also it's based on incorrect Office of National Statistics figures now. So the fact that they're putting this in there as an actual statement, as this is fact, that actually there's so much more to this, that I kind of feel that question, that first question that they're asking is that should we, do we agree that housing is important or something like that, is the most ridiculous question that they can ask, and it's very leading, and it's naughty of them. So from my point of view, I'd like to study this a bit more, and perhaps take it forward at the planning committee as well, and answer it from there, because I haven't actually read it fully, just so everyone knows.
Councillor Matthew-Scott.
Yeah, so have had a chance to sort of read the consultation. It is somewhat of the lengthy document, and I would say it does require a people reading just to take it all in. I've already done the survey online, so the online survey does actually give you the ability to, once you've given your sort of strongly disagree answers, you can actually add your own answers and opinions at the bottom of the actual consultations, so that is open for any advice. I have shared this online. I shared it on the 13th of January when the consultation was originally put out. We'll continue to do so because it does finish, to my understanding, on the 28th of February. So I do think it is certainly something that all our councillors who are social media savvy should share online, because it is an open consultation to the public, and obviously we as the town council really shouldn't be making decisions on sensitive matters like this. I totally agree with Councillor Pennington. Having personally had experiences with the priority for the homelessness, I think it is a very important thing to tackle. One of the fundamental things of homelessness at the moment is the one area that is still often getting ignored or getting pushed to the side is the actual young males who are the ones who are highly at risk of being homeless, and unfortunately are the ones who are often overlooked and not seen as vulnerable, and that is a shame, because when you're homeless, it's a vulnerability to everyone, whether you're a female, male, or whatever. You have kids, it's not a situation anyone would like to be in, and certainly these need to be tackled. With Porchlight, the District Council does have the RISE team, and it has always been encouraged that if you do see someone who looks to be homeless or is in a situation, is to contact that RISE team, and they do send out people to actually approach these people and obviously ensure that they can obviously be sheltered or go down the route. So I do certainly just say that if people do have the chance to look at this, read it, do the consultation, because you may feel it falls on deaf ears, but if you don't do it, then it's going to be there anyway. Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you. from feedback then, are we assuming that we would like to individually respond to this consultation, or do you want me to
Yeah.
take it to the...
I was going to come to that. Well, let me take Councillor Nightingale, Councillor Cornford, and that will...
I think we should do both really. I mean, having worked with homeless people in London for many, many years, and they were closing down these large hostels which everyone said people shouldn't be living in anymore. So they ditched them out, and even those that they did put into housing hadn't a clue what was happening. They had no supportive network. And I remember working on Christmas Day in one of these large hostels that we empty. We had over 1,000 men in there that night, and about 50 of them insisted on going out inside. And I said to them, there was nowhere to go because nothing would be available for them. And I said to them, where are you going then? Away? They just said, can't stand being enclosed. I need to be out, wherever they've been, their own home. And I think there's been a lot of research done on this recently. And I was listening on this, I think it's Manchester or Liverpool, have decided now that they're pleading with people not to give food to people on the pavement. And the reason they're doing that is because then it doesn't encourage people to go and get help, whether it be medical attention they need or some sort of other supportive network. Because they are people, well, many of them are people who are going to be on the pavements, whether they've got support on it or not. And just finally, I actually give my thesis on homelessness in London for people. And I read this article, and this person said they were given some accommodation, and they said, and the answer came back, well, what's the hardest thing you've found out since you've been put in there? And the person said that I had to turn my own light out because he was so used to living in accommodation where he'd got.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's just it's sad, but that was his answer and his reality. And I think asking questions like that are just bypassing what a lot of the problems are, particularly mental health and that sort of thing. It would be lovely if everyone fitted into a box that they were perfectly happy if they had somewhere to live, but that's not the reality, is it?
No,
A million realities.
I agree totally with what you said earlier, Councillor Pennington. I was a bit concerned. This seems to be backing up the fact that we need 17,000 houses. And
Yeah.
it's based on information given out in 2014. They actually say trends which inform the housing strategy 2014 continue to drive the need for review and action. Whereas the ONS say that since mid-2017 to mid-18, 0.6% slower growth than any year since 2014. And since 2016, long-term international migration to and from the UK remains broadly stable, and also the longevity, that people are living longer, but that's leveled out now.
Yeah.
So it seems not right.
Okay.
Just to say,
Well, you-
my last
Yes,
comment
please.
is that I think housing and homelessness are two different things, and they're trying to lump it into one.
Yes.
Yes.
And I don't think, I think they're trying to lead us, as you said, into the thing.
Well,
And homelessness
yeah.
and housing is a different issue.
I think you should get homelessness under affordable housing.
Yeah.
Well, to come back to the clerk's question as to whether we reply individually or collectively, is there sort of middle way where we reply individually, but I'm not sure what the best way is, and I'm not sure how to put the specific mechanics of this consultation. Should I give you the floor first or get the views? Councillor O'Connor.
Well, I'm just going to say that, perhaps Hannah would give us data that she wants us to feed back to, and then take it to her committee to have a look at, because, she's got with what she's doing on the neighbourhood plan and everything else that goes with it, to tie in for what she thinks. And I think
It
that's...
seems to be a vehicle, there seems to be a vehicle for the local plan.
Yeah, so I'd like to... So maybe our individual comments go into you, and then...
Or, but you can also apply as
Yeah.
a resident as
Oh,
well.
yeah, no,
Yeah.
if you feel strongly one way or another, just go on as a resident, but if not, anything.
Yeah, I think it probably will carry more weight if it comes with some sort of official backing, but I mean, what's important is that there is a strong response. Any other comments?
No, I was just going to propose that we do both.
Yeah, okay.
So, planning committee is next Tuesday, so if anybody wanted to comment, please do so before next Tuesday, and then I'll bring it to the planning committee, and then we'll make an agreement as to what we're going to apply then, and get it in before the 24th or 26th.
Good.
Councillor O'Connor proposed that. Yeah, Councillor
Yeah.
O'Connor second, yeah.
Everyone in favour? Do you want to comment?
Just a quick question. So, I mean, obviously the survey itself is linked for individual responses, so are we looking to contact the councillors and officers in question direct as a town council that way, or are we just going to go as a conglomerate on one of the surveys? Because obviously, with the 5 options, we could all fall into mutual with very different opinions.
Yeah, so I think the agreement is that you're all going to respond individually, but collectively as town council, we are going to respond via the planning committee, so that your comments that you want to feed to the collective response need to be fed through to me or Councillor Hannah Scott by next Tuesday when the planning committee meet, and it will be an item on the agenda for the planning committee, and you'll
But you can also, as PDP councillor, or
Yes.
the resident, to apply yourself as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah, I've already
Yeah.
consultation.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. We arrive at item 17. The Great British Spring Clean. Invite debate on how town council can become involved.
Thank you. So there is a national campaign that runs every year. Great British Spring Clean, and this is the national campaign that's Keep Britain Tidy. That's the organisation. I have contacted the resident that does the regular litter picking, and he's happy to be involved, because obviously this campaign we'd like to do a couple of, at least 2 litter picks during the period, so that we can, sort of join in the national campaign. So I just wanted feedback tonight from members, if there's any suggestions on, if we're happy to do a town council litter pick, for instance, or, any other ideas that you can feed through, just so we can raise the awareness of the campaign and hopefully get other groups and the community involved.
Comments, ideas? Yes?
Yes,
No, you go ahead.
I mean, obviously, in the first instance, certainly be part of this as a town council. I'm more than happy to also be part of that. See on the day I'm able to with the work and whatnot, but weekends, absolutely happy. I mean, I know of some areas that are sort of, residents have just fed back to me, have been sort of underutilised, which maybe we can, as an extra force, cover. So I think the further back end of Westgate towards sort of fields and that sometimes requires it in limited areas. So, I mean, those are the ideas of what we're requiring, sort of ideal spots to formulate these campaigns. So, yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't catch the town clerk. What, did you say that this is going to be town council, is the town council putting forward a group of people, or are we working with the existing group? Are we supporting them?
I was proposing both really, so that we it's leading by example, that we, promote our own initiative and date that we're doing something, and then that's hopefully going to get engagement, and we get other groups and organisations joining in, on a separate
With us.
day or with us. Yeah, right. Yeah.
Not us supporting them.
No, us taking the lead.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councillor Hammerscott.
So, with regards to this, it's between the 23rd and the 13th of the 4th. So you've got 4 Saturdays. You've got March the 21st, 28th. You've got April the 4th, and you've got April the 11th on the Saturdays. So you've got 4 Saturdays in that time for us to maybe do like 4, 1 hour, 2 hour cleans in different areas of the town, which is doable, perhaps.
We have Sundays as well, so Saturdays or
Yeah.
Saturday or Sunday.
Or even during the weeks.
Any more comments? Anyone like? Yes?
Well, I mean, obviously not clear, draw it out, but maybe then we should just, as Councillor Hammerscott pointed out, there's plenty of time. So I think it should be just down to sort of council availability, which councillors actually do wish to partake. And then, drum up that little circle residents. So I know that we've got a lot of community groups who already undertake their nitpick, such as the Mixology, Ray Taylor. I'm not fully aware of the whereabouts of our war, but if that's still undergoing, then I'm sure there'll be loads, maybe get scout groups involved. So it's not like probably anything that we can't do. So I think it's email to the agent.
Yes.
I just wanted to add, if I could ask Councillor Matthew Scott to help me with the hashtag and signing us up so that we get all the social media access and promotion through the post and everything.
Yeah, sorry, help me now.
Thank you.
That's good. Councillor Coleman.
Well, this links back to what Helen was saying in, for the local groups or the schools, that one of the things was litter picking. So we've got some dates here. Maybe this would be one that you could actually promote maybe as part of it, get over for Westgate Day, done, as kind of, as well as ours, because the more the merrier going around, the less the nuisance. Just thinking, maybe it's always been half suggested, isn't it? Yes, sorry, I'm not clear.
Okay. Well, that's something to me.
Yeah. Just something.
But it's, I think that would be a useful activity that such an initiative could undertake, but it's not. Yes, Councillor Collins, yes.
So are you asking us for our availability between that period of time, what days, and how many hours we can give up between that, and we'll feed it back to you?
Yes, please.
And we tend to go for the weekend here, because most people are.
Yeah, mostly weekends, but obviously if you have got time in the week, if you let me know, we might be able to marry up with a different group and, yeah.
I mean, we're well placed also because we've got the operatives who do
Yeah.
tend to keep an eye on this kind of thing, so they can say it would be really useful
To do
if
exactly.
people could focus
Yeah.
on such and such an area.
And the other dates that you wanted back from us were three suggested dates for the course, wasn't it? So
Yeah.
we need to decide whether we want it on the 28th of March, 4th of April, or 25th of April. Just so you know, 28th of March can't do.
Thank you.
So you got my information now.
Oh, well, no, it's just, definitive, so with the decision required, so the decision being that we are doing it, making sure we've got our availability, and we'll drum it up going forward.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Okay, any other points anyone wishes to raise? I'm not supposed to do this on a good time this far. We do have 50 minutes. Meeting closed at 8:45 p.m.